Hi there, Vasco Duarte here, your host. I wanted to share a story with you. You know how sometimes Agile just feels like following another checklist? When processes and frameworks feel more important than what we are trying to achieve, and sometimes even like handcuffs. I was talking to a customer of the Global Agile Summit, and he used a term that I kind of stuck in my mind. He said, "I have agile fatigue." And I've heard that a lot from people since then. But here's the thing, it doesn't have to be this way. So we started thinking, and at the Global Agile Summit, which is happening this May, we're bringing together practitioners who've actually done that, who've broken free from this, install the framework kind of mindset. We want to focus the summit on real-life, first-person stories of Agile succeeding that inspire you to action. We're talking real experiences, practical solutions, and of course, amazing insights from leaders like Gojko Adzic, who will be one of the keynote speakers, and Jürgen Apelo, who will be one of the keynote speakers as well. If you're ready to leave the Agile fatigue behind, just join us in Tallinn. The early bird tickets are now available at the globalagilesummit.com. And mark your calendars. We will have workshops on May 18th, that's a Sunday. And then the conference itself will happen on May 19th and 20th of 2025 in Tallinn, Estonia. So let's make Agile exciting again. And remember, go to globalagilesummit.com, that is, and get your early bird ticket now. It will only be available until early March, so grab it now. And now, on to the episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Wednesday, the Leading Change episode this week with Antti Horelli. Hey, Antti, welcome back.
Hello. Great to be here.
So, Antti, change leadership is the topic of today, of course. And in that context, we want you to tell us a story, a change process you were involved with, and walk us through the steps, like how it went from beginning to end, and then highlight for us as you go the tools, the tips, the tricks, the techniques you learned back then that you still apply today.
Okay. So this is kind of going to be a big one. This is an agile transformation. So some years ago, I worked in an organization. My to-be boss there, the head of R&D, started an agile transformation. I was hired there as an agile coach to help with that. And where we started was a fairly kind of, traditional or old school organization where we had development as one organizational silo, QA and testing as another, support as a third one. Very little transparency or kind of big walls between these. Not that good understanding what will come out when, what should even be the focus of things. Business didn't understand what was happening in tech and all that kind of, I guess, in a way, classic situation. Things that we did, we set up cross-functional development teams, I think mostly Scrum teams. So no more silos between, for example, the testers and the developers. We did try to keep the competence support there. There were kind of metrics in that sense, but still, we had some Scrum ceremonies going on there earlier also, but not really. It wasn't like full Scrum. It wasn't the whole deal. So we enhanced that. And that was one of my big roles. I worked with the teams as a Scrum Master, for example, for 2 teams at a time, and then maybe changed teams as necessary. Then on kind of the higher level, we set up this big wall to create transparency. It was a physical wall. It was in the middle of the office. It had kind of 2 sides. On the left side, we had our kind of sales and business, things that are coming in, maybe kind of a business funnel, so to speak. And that resulted in projects that were tackled by the delivery side. They were visible on the delivery wall, where we had, like, on a month base, things that what do we think that our development teams can accomplish during this month. So you could kind of see what's coming into through sales on the business side and what is being done and when should things be ready. And that was a huge thing. People could walk by, take a look at it. We had a common meeting around it every week that was open for others. There was stakeholders there, yes, but anyone could join if they wanted. Then we brought some planning structure into the situation as well. A higher level planning, we have something called joint planning day. It's maybe a little bit like PI planning in SAFe, a lot lighter, but still. So we did this midterm planning for, let's say, 4 sprints, looking forward 4 sprints every 2 sprints. So we did 4 sprints of planning. Then after 2 sprints, we again did 4 sprints of planning. And this emphasized the change that is always happening. So we don't have one plan that we try to stick to. The plan is changing. But still, it gave us much better understanding of what we can accomplish and also what to communicate to everyone else. Then we had the scrums between our scrum teams, which is kind of maybe as usual. Yeah, that was a really big thing. A lot of change, a lot of patience was needed there for everyone involved. A lot of small things to iron out, a lot of new processes for everyone, new ways of working for everyone, and so on. But I think one big learning there for me, at least, was that because I was kind of very much looking at the change aspect here, and that was very important for me also emotionally. But at the same time, we were doing change, we still had to make a profit, of course. And during this time, our company was given a very important project, a very big project, which kind of turned out to be kind of a do or die thing. So we weren't out. Failure was not a possibility. So in that situation, balancing making change in small steps at least, and not like stagnating, but having also the stress of a big project that you really have to deliver, that was pretty tough. And we did, our change kind of went back a little bit even. We had kind of when our big do or die project looked like it might be in jeopardy, we kind of took a very hardcore project management drive to take care of that project, which kind of set us back in our agile transformation a bit. But still, some of the elements were there, and then we moved forward after that. So, but that, at least for me as a person making the change, was like a tough situation.
Contrast and conflict between delivering something concrete like this do or die project, as you call it, and then the overall agile transformation is an interesting factor and something that I'm personally interested in, because I see a lot of organizations kind of going towards agile and then retreating back to project management. Now, I fully understand why the organizations do that, because they believe that project managers will deliver things or will make things be delivered, I guess we could call it. But that is not my experience. So I'm a bit confused as to why do we get into that belief. In fact, my own experience is that the opposite, is that project management makes things slower, more complex, and harder to deliver, while agile typically makes things faster, more end-to-end integrated, and easier to deliver. So in that particular story, Antti, what was in place that led the leaders of that organization to believe that bringing in a project management mindset would help deliver with, I guess, more predictability?
Yeah, very, very nice question. Kind of in the core of Agile in a sense. I can't really speak for our higher management. I don't know exactly. So I'm guessing here. So this is kind of my point of view. My best guess is as to why this happened. But a couple of things. First of all, we were still kind of in the middle of our transformation when this need for really delivering happened. So we were kind of still maybe paying the price of learning new things a bit in efficiency. And especially we didn't have a track record of showing efficiency yet. So I'm thinking that to higher management, this kind of looked like they couldn't trust that if we continue on this path, good things will happen. I would also guess that maybe the more traditional project management approach is something that they in higher management were more used to. It wasn't an agile organization before that. We were just creating the change. So they didn't have success stories kind of to rely on, again, a trust issue maybe, or maybe just a risk issue. Like they balanced it that, okay, there are these promises about agile, but we haven't seen them be delivered yet. Maybe we can't like bet on this if it's the whole kind of company on the line. So maybe we go back to what we know works.
Yeah, this actually highlights what I think is a very common anti-pattern in agile transformations, which is to start from the transformation end rather than starting from the delivery end, right? Because at the end of the day, agile is there to help us deliver value faster in a more coherent way, meaning that there are people working together rather than somebody somewhere writing specs and then kind of handing it over the wall and then expecting that magically something happens and then having a puppet master, also known as a project manager. And I'm a project manager here, so I know pretty much what's expected of project managers to kind of make things happen, right? For me, the anti-pattern is exactly this perspective that the goal of an agile transformation is to deliver agile to the organization. And I see that as a shifting, an erroneous shifting of the goal, because in fact, agile is a method, or rather a philosophy of delivering. It's not a process you adopt. It's a philosophy of delivering. So in my mind, we should always start with the delivery, right? Like the work that we need to do in order to make sure that we start delivering earlier, right? And discovering, therefore, what works, what doesn't work, and adapting. How do you see it, Antti?
Yeah, that is very well said. I absolutely agree. I think agile or any methodology or process isn't a value in itself. We're not doing agile to do agile. We're doing agile to create value, to be able to do something useful better, more efficiently, whatever it is. So yeah, absolutely like that. I think in this story, a lot of the things we had already put in place, like for example, cross-functional teams, transparency into what's happening, like from end to end. When we are building this, those were used in the kind of when we went back into the project management or stronger project management side. So in that sense, a lot of the benefits were used there. I think also one thing was that we had this very strong project manager come in, and I think one thing he did is that he really did make the project go through. He was a very strong person. He was kind of able to force everyone to do enough to make it happen. And from the company point of view and from the project point of view, this was good because it made sure that this very critical thing got done. From the company's like long-term working point of view, it wasn't sustainable. So even though it was a big project, if it had been even longer, then bad things would have started to happen as well. But maybe this was a choice from the project manager. I can't say.
That's a very good point, because that take charge, make things happen might be in the short term even feasible. I would argue is probably counterproductive, but I have a different philosophy. Having been on both sides, project management and agile, I have a different philosophy, but I can totally understand why people would think that bringing in a strong project manager would help get things delivered. But of course, there's the problem that even if they do get delivered, you will burn out people.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
That's a great story, Antti. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.